Hello students, welcome to the session. In the previous session, we were discussing about the process of transcription. We have learnt about the transcription unit. We have learnt about the way, the mechanism of transcription that is carried in a prokaryotic cell, right? And the stepwise processes with the help of the enzyme, mainly the DNA-dependent RNA polymerase, right? How these processes are going to take place, such as initiation, elongation, and termination that we have seen already in the previous session, right? And here you need to pay attention. This process that we have learned in the previous session is only with regard to the prokaryotic cell system. There are some complexities which are associated with the eukaryotic cell when compared with the prokaryotes. What are those complexities? And how the prokaryotic transcription is different from the eukaryotic transcription, that is what we need to learn, and also we will have to learn about the eukaryotic transcription in this particular session. Now, pay attention, here we have learnt about the prokaryotic transcription where the entire process of the transcription will be regulated or it will be catalyzed by a single type of DNA-dependent RNA polymerase. You know, the different types of RNAs are required for the various processes of transcription and translation. That means during the process of translation, it is not only the mRNA or the messenger RNA that will be synthesized, but also the other two types of RNA such as tRNA called as transfer RNA and also rRNA or also called as ribosomal RNA are also synthesized during the process of transcription. And all these different types of RNAs are being produced by a single type of enzyme, that is DNA dependent RNA polymerase, that is in the case of the prokaryotes. The process, however, remains the same. The steps, however, remain same even in the case of eukaryotes with added complexities here, that is in eukaryotes. Okay, so you keep in mind, I'm going to just briefly explain you about the process and then we can directly skip to the eukaryotic transcription. Here, initiation takes place when the DNA dependent RNA polymerase identifies and goes and binds to the region on the template strand that is called as promoter sequence or promoter region. So in order to identify the promoter region, the DNA dependent RNA polymerase will require the assistance of another enzyme or another protein molecule called as sigma factor or also called as the initiation factor. Right? The initiation factor or the sigma factor, when it binds to the RNA polymerase or DNA dependent RNA polymerase, this polymerase and the sigma factor complex will go and bind to the promoter sequence. Okay? So when the promoter sequence is bound with this enzyme complex, right? So now the process of the transcription is going to be started. So soon after the starting or the initiation of this transcription process, what will happen? So slowly somehow the double helix of the DNA will start unwinding. Okay, the two strands of the double helix will start opening up like this and they start, that is what unwinding we call, and the process of adding of new nucleotides of the RNA will start. Okay, that I have given a picturization, brief picturization of how nucleotides of the RNA are being added here. So this is one nucleotide and this nucleotide will provide a 3' OH group, sorry, the third carbon atom with a free OH group. Right? So this free OH group will help in the attachment of the next phosphate group. That is the phosphate group of the next nucleotide. Yes or no? So this is how the phosphoester bond and subsequently the phosphodiester bonds are also formed here. Right? So this is what will help in the formation of a polynucleotide of the RNA. Right? So that process is what is called as elongation. So soon after the initiation, when the elongation goes on happening, this sigma factor will get detached. It gets separated from the RNA polymerase molecule or RNA polymerase enzyme. So it is only the RNA polymerase enzyme which solely carries out the process of elongation. But this elongation process, which is nothing but the addition of new nucleotides of the RNA, can take place only until it reaches that complex or that sequence on the template strand, which is called as the terminator sequence. So when this RNA polymerase enzyme, when it reaches the terminator sequence, now it has to stop the process of the transcription and it has to release that newly produced RNA molecule, right? So that is going to happen with the help of another factor which is called as Rho factor. Rho factor is also called as terminator factor. Just like how we call this the sigma factor as initiation factor, this Rho factor is also called as termination factor. So on binding of the Rho factor with the enzyme, that is the DNA dependent RNA polymerase, this Rho factor makes the enzyme to get detached from the DNA and the RNA complex there, and also the RNA, a small part of the RNA, the 3' end part of the RNA or 3' terminal of the RNA, which is held with the RNA polymerase, will be released here. And this RNA, so there is no more addition of the new nucleotides to this 3' OH group here. Yes, and that is why this RNA gets released. And this process, see, the same process also happens in the case of the eukaryotic cell. But the only difference here is that in the case of the prokaryotic cell, there is no differentiation or there is no compartmentalization as nucleus and the outer nucleus part, right? The cytoplasm and nucleus will be bifurcated, they will be compartmentalization in the case of the eukaryotic cell. But in the case of prokaryotic cell, there is no compartmentalization, right? That is why whenever this takes place, so immediately after the process is completed, this newly produced RNA molecule, or also called as the nascent RNA molecule, will be directly released into the cytoplasm, and it will be already ready for the next process, that is translation, that is protein synthesis. As I have already told you in the previous session, soon this RNA starts releasing, that means the part which is already out of this complex. Now this part might already involve in the process of translation simultaneously when the transcription is still happening. I hope you are getting my point. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಇನ್ನು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ RNA ಏನಿದೆ, this RNA may involve in the process of translation, that is protein synthesis, which is the next step, right? So, but when we compare the same process, when we look at the same process, exactly the same process, but happening with a little more complexity in the case of the eukaryotes. What are those complexities? First complexity is that the cell structure of the eukaryotes will make a compartmentalization of the nucleus and the cytoplasm, right? And that is why this process, the same entire process takes place within the nucleus, and this will be also coming with an additional complexity, that the newly synthesized RNA molecule, which is synthesized within the nucleus, has to be released into the cytoplasm. That means it has to be sent out of the nucleus. This is first thing. Second thing is that the DNA dependent RNA polymerase that we see here, the single molecule of the DNA dependent RNA polymerase, a single type of that will be responsible for the synthesis of all the types of RNA, be it rRNA, tRNA or mRNA in the case of prokaryotes. But in the case of eukaryotes, how it happens is, there are different molecules of or different types of DNA dependent RNA polymerases, such as RNA polymerase 1, polymerase 2 and polymerase 3. So if you look into the details of that, I am going to give you that now. So RNA polymerase 1, that is DNA dependent RNA polymerase 1, will be responsible for the synthesis of 18S rRNA, 28S rRNA and 5.8S rRNA. Okay, three different types of rRNA, that is ribosomal RNA, are being produced by polymerase 1, that is RNA polymerase 1. Which are those? 5.8S rRNA. S stands for Swedberg unit, or the sedimentation coefficient, if you could recall from the chapter of Cell, the Unit of Life, which you have learnt in the first PUC, right? 5.8s rRNA, 18s rRNA and 28s rRNA are being produced or being synthesized by the catalysis of the enzyme called RNA polymerase 1, where in eukaryotes. Similarly, RNA polymerase 2 will catalyze the synthesis of hnRNA, hnRNA, not rRNA. hnRNA stands for heteronuclear RNA, which is also called as precursor mRNA. We will understand what is it now. I'm just telling you what the functions of different enzymes are. And there is one more, that is RNA polymerase 3 will catalyze the synthesis of the tRNA and 5s rRNA and also the small nucleotide RNA, which is also called as snRNA. Okay, first complexity ಈ process ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ನ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುವಂತಹ RNA ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ನಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಇದು ಒಂದು. ಎರಡನೇ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಟಿ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಯೂಕ್ಯಾರಿಯೋಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ RNA polymerase ಇಲ್ಲ. There are 3 different types of RNA polymerases where there is a clear cut division of labor, right? So each different type of RNA polymerase will carry out its own function. This is the second complexity. The third complexity is there. This third complexity is associated with the DNA of the eukaryotes or eukaryotic cell, which is much more different and much more complex when compared to the prokaryotic DNA. This we have already discussed while discussing about the concept of the cistron, right? Polycistronic, monocistronic genes, and we had also studied about the exons and introns. See, there are non-coding sequences present on the DNA of the eukaryotic cell, right? Coding sequences are also present with the non-coding sequences in the DNA of the eukaryotes. And this very characteristic feature will also make the RNA which is synthesized during the transcription of the eukaryotes to have some non-coding regions which are called as exons. ನೋಡಿ, DNA ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತಹ ನಾನ್ ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಸೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗಿ RNA ಗೆ ಬಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ, and RNA will have those non-coding sequences which are now called as exons, and the coding sequences present on the RNA are called as introns, right? But in order to have a precise process of translation, in order to have a very stipulated, a very specific and also very random fast process of translation, what is to be done is the introns, the non-coding sequences present in the RNA have to be removed, and this process is called as RNA processing. It means transcription aada takshana, I'm drawing a rough diagram here. Imagine this is the DNA of eukaryotic cell, which is consisting of some non-coding sequences. Say for example, see, this is one non-coding sequence, this is another non-coding sequence. Okay, so we'll draw the detailed diagram later. Now the RNA that is produced because of the transcription that is taking place with respect to this particular DNA molecule will produce the RNA with the non-coding sequences on this as well. Those non-coding sequences which are transcribed onto this mRNA are called as what? Introns. Okay, these are called as introns. So the coding sequences are exons anta karitare. Now what is to be done here before this has to get translated? Translation means what? The conversion of the information present on the RNA into the protein form. So in order to do that, we have to remove these introns. So removal of the introns will be involved in the process that is commonly called as, generally called as RNA processing. So this RNA processing is the third complexity. Remember, the first complexity is having the nucleus and production of the RNA inside the nucleus and transferring it outside the nucleus. This is the first complexity with respect to the eukaryotic transcription. The second complexity is that the having different types of RNA polymerases, DNA dependent RNA polymerases. There are three different types with different functions. Then the third complexity is RNA processing. Why? Because the production of the RNA immediately after the transcription will be called as the precursor RNA ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ HN, that is heteronucleotide RNA. That means different types of nucleotides are there. That is some of the coding sequences, some of them are non-coding sequences, right? So this is the complexity of the eukaryotic transcription that we are going to study in detail now with the help of some diagrams. Now let us look at this eukaryotic transcription and also the complexities which are involved with that. So let me write those complexities here. So the first complexity is, of course, having the nucleus. That is the complexity that is associated with the cell structure that we are not going to consider here. The first complexity that we are going to write here is the division of labor. Division of labor by having three types of RNA polymerases. Three different types of RNA polymerases. Which are those? RNA polymerase 1. See, when I say RNA polymerase, obviously it should be DNA dependent RNA polymerase. That is understood. So RNA polymerase 1. RNA polymerase 1 will catalyze the synthesis of the rRNA, and what all the different types of rRNA are being produced here by this RNA polymerase 1 are 5.8S rRNA. 5.8S, you know what does the S stand for? Swedberg unit, or the sedimentation coefficient, which roughly gives us an idea about the density of the RNA molecule or the ribosome. 5.8S rRNA, 28S rRNA, and also the which one? The 18S rRNA. 18S rRNA. Okay, so these are the three different types of rRNA are being produced by the activity of RNA polymerase 1. Similarly, RNA polymerase 2 will help in the synthesis of hnRNA. hnRNA, are also called as precursor mRNA. Is also called as what? Precursor mRNA. So this precursor mRNA or hnRNA, HN stands for heterogeneous nuclear mRNA. hnMRNA. Okay, why is it called so? I will draw the diagram now. So it will be consisting of both the coding and non-coding sequences, which are respectively called as exons and introns. Exons are the coding and the introns are the non-coding. So that is why it will be called as heterogeneous. It is called as precursor mRNA because it is formed previously. That means, so it is not the mature RNA. Before the formation of the mature or the actual functional RNA which can take part in the process of translation, this is produced, and that is why it is called as precursor mRNA. Now, RNA polymerase 3 will catalyze the synthesis of the different types of RNA molecules such as the 5S rRNA, tRNA, and also the snRNA. SN stands for small nucleotide rRNA. See here, snRNA stands for, snRNA means the RNA, while forming the entire structure of the RNA, many small nucleotides are to be joined with the help of the phosphoester bond, right? So each nucleotide formation takes place with the help of this particular enzyme, and those small nucleotides which are later joined to form the entire molecule, they are called as small nucleotide rRNA. Okay, so this is the function of different enzymes and complexity. This is one complexity with respect to this one, the eukaryotic transcription, right? And let us study the second complexity with the help of the diagram here. See, you know, I'm going to draw the transcription unit with the help of the DNA. You know, when you draw the transcription unit, you should keep one thing in mind. Always the template strand must be having the polarity. The template strand must be having the polarity 3' to 5', because RNA synthesis can only take place in the direction of 5 prime to 3 prime, right? So here, so now you can tell me, I'm going to label the this thing here. Now you have to decide and tell me which one is the template strand here. Obviously the yellow one. Why? It is because it is having the polarity 3 prime to 5 prime. Why it is the template strand should be having the polarity 3 prime to 5 prime? Because RNA polymerase will function in only one direction, that is 5 prime to 3 prime, right? That means the synthesis of the new RNA molecule has to take place in only 5 prime to 3 prime direction, right? And in order to produce that RNA molecule in the 5 prime to 3 prime direction, it must have a complementary DNA strand or the template DNA strand in the opposite direction, that is anti-parallel, right? So that is why now what we are seeing here, the yellow strand as the template strand. So this one is the template strand. And what is the other strand called as? It is called as the coding strand. Coding strand. Yes. Now the RNA that is produced will be attached to the enzyme complex. Here, in the case of the prokaryotic transcription, we have considered only one type of RNA, and that is why there was no much complexity with respect to that. But here, as we see different types of RNA polymerases, I am going to draw the diagram like this. This is the enzyme complex. That means it will be consisting of different types of RNA polymerases and other enzymes. Which are those other enzymes and what are they called as? We will see that now. Now, this newly produced RNA, the nascent RNA, which is still getting transcribed, which is still being synthesized, is like this. And as I had told you, it will be consisting of both coding and non-coding sequences. It will be consisting of both coding and non-coding sequences. See, the red shade, what I am showing you, will be the non-coding sequence. And what is this non-coding sequence called as? It is called as the introns. Introns. Yes or no? These are the introns. And the unshaded region is nothing but the exons. Exons. Yes, they are the exons. So this transcription takes place like this, and in the direction of 5 prime to 3 prime, the new RNA molecule will be produced. And see, this after reaching, that means when the enzyme complex, when it reaches to the terminator sequence, idu terminator sequence reach aada takshana enagutte, this new RNA that is being produced will get released. Okay, it will be released. And after its release also, it will be still consisting of those non-coding sequences or the intron sequences. Okay, introns and exons, alternating sequences of the introns and exons are there, right? And now this second complexity we are talking about, now this RNA is what is called as precursor mRNA, or it's also called as heterogeneous mRNA, heterogeneous nuclear mRNA. It is this RNA which has to be subjected for what? RNA processing, right? The processing of the RNA will involve two major processes or three major processes. First thing is splicing. Splicing. What does the what is the meaning of splicing and what process is occurring in this process here is, see, these non-coding sequences are which are called as introns have to be removed. They have to be removed. How they are removed? See, this is the sequence, and these non-coding sequences are rolled up like this, and they are removed. Right? They are removed. And here, not only that, while removing them, they have to be cut out. They have to be cut out from this fragment of the mRNA and they have to be separated. And for cutting that particular introns, the enzyme complex that is utilized here is spliceosome. Spliceosome is the complex of the enzymes which is involved in splicing of the mRNA. This is the mRNA, heterogeneous mRNA, and splicing of the mRNA to remove the introns will be occurring with the help of, or it will be catalyzed with the help of the enzyme complex called spliceosome, right? And when spliceosome activity will be over, the now produced mRNA will be like this, which will be having only the exons, that is the coding sequences. But still, this RNA, which is free from the introns, is not yet completely ready for the further process, that is for the translation. It is not yet completely mature. What is to be done with this is capping and tailing. See, at the 5' end, what is added here is a very unusual nitrogen basis, that is what is called as methyl guanosine triphosphate. Methyl guanosine triphosphate region will be added to the 5' end. Okay, methyl guanosine triphosphate cap. The addition of this unusual nucleotide to the 5' end of this RNA will be called as what? Capping. It's called as capping. Methyl guanosine triphosphate. And to the 3' end also, there will be one more unusual nitrogen base sequence will be added, where it will be consisting of around 200 to 300 adenosine sequence. It is also called as adenylation or polyadenylation at the 3' end. So this is also called as poly A tail, and the process is called as tailing. The process is called as tailing. This process is called as capping. Okay. In the capping process, what happens here? To the 5' end, what will be added? The methyl guanosine triphosphate. Methyl guanosine triphosphate will be added. Capping and addition of many adenosine sequences at the 3' end, it will be called as poly A tail. Now, this becomes a completely mature mRNA. So, I'll draw the simple diagram of the mature mRNA here, which will be having structure somewhat like this. So, here, this is the 5' end, this is the 3' end. So, there will be some UTR, that is untranslated region at the 5' end and also at the 3' end. UTR stands for untranslated region, and at the 5' end, the methyl guanosine triphosphate will be there, which is called as the cap, which is done by the capping process. And at the 3' end, what will be there? The poly A tail will be there, which is done by the adenylation process, right? So this is the mature mRNA, and these are what the exons or the coding sequences. Okay, so this is how the processing of the mRNA takes place. This diagram, the neat label diagram as it is given in the textbook, it is very important for 5 marks. See the diagram which we have seen in the previous session about the process of transcription, which explains the different steps, the initiation, elongation and termination processes. That is also very important when asked for explanation of the process or mechanism of transcription. When they ask about the transcription in eukaryotes, they usually ask about the complexity related to the eukaryotic transcription. So here you need to mention these 2 points, explain these 2 points. This is one and this is second one. Okay, need to remember which RNA polymerase is responsible for catalysis of what type of RNA. Okay, so that is very important, and along with this important diagram and also the explanation. So this is regarding the transcription process in the entire process of transcription in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. And also there is a possibility of asking one more question in the transcription, that is to differentiate between the transcription in prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So if you study these processes, if you study all these concepts, you will be able to answer all different types of questions based on this particular concept. So in the next session, we are going to continue with the next aspect of this chapter, that is the genetic code. Thank you.